So as I told you guys previously that I was working in Toronto, and in the last couple of months of me working for Bank of Montreal in Toronto, I had moved from Donlands and Danforth area to a place in at Scarborough Beach. I'm going to show you guys the location where I moved. It was only for like a couple of months because the guy said that I need at least a 6-month lease. I said, well, I can't do a 6-month lease because my contract renews every couple of months. So this guy, Ted McDonald, whose place I was staying in, whose house I was staying in, I think, he told me that I need at least 6 months lease. First, they said it's okay for me to move on a month-to-month basis, but they said at least 6-month lease is required. I said, well, you didn't tell me that before, so I'm going to give you a couple of months notice, at least a month's notice. I will move out in August. When I was coming from Peterborough to Toronto, I would often bring some of my guns to my Toronto place, and so that I could drive over the weekend, or maybe sometime during the weekdays. Sometimes during the long weekend, there was a long weekend, so I could drive to the gun range and enjoy my guns. So this guy, Ted McDonald, what he did was that he asked another guy, I think his name was David, and he told him to bring people so they could see the place. People interested in renting the place in the future. So I said, well, I'm at the office, so just make sure you don't open the storeroom because I have some things over there. Like guns, so make sure you don't open that place. He said okay. What I did not know was that he would actually go to the police and report to them that this guy had guns over there without even asking me, because I already told this guy that I had guns. Instead of asking me if I had license for those, if those are registered firearms, what was going on, because of my beard, being a Muslim and all those things, he would go to the police and just complain to them that this guy might be a terrorist or whatnot. So eventually that led to BMO terminating my contract and not renewing my contract in the future. I would notice my phone battery being drained, my phone battery dying. I would notice different kind of people following me around, cars following me around. There was this Nissan Altima 3.5 liter. I'm going to show you in the screenshot. I had this little car dash cam, and I took a screenshot of this guy following me around. Since I was leaving and going back to Peterborough, it wasn't feasible for me to come and visit the Silverdale Gun Club because it was too far for me. So driving just for that did not really mean that much. So somebody told me that maybe you should go to Trenton. There's a gun range in Trenton, and then Trenton was like 80 kilometers. So compare like 264 kilometers to about like 80 kilometers from Peterborough. I thought that might be a better choice. So I went to Trenton. I had no idea it was a Canadian Forces base. There was a Canadian Forces base in Trenton. Anyway, I went there to Trenton, and I constantly would see this blue car following me at a distance. Nissan Altima. I went to the gun store over there. Obviously, they had like all the expensive stuff that real soldiers would use, like Knight's Armament and all those other brands. And I wouldn't spend like $3,000 or $4,000 on just a shroud or rails. I already had spent a lot of money, about like $25,000 on my different guns that I had purchased. On my way back, I saw this gun range, and I went to that place, and it was a very secluded range. Like there weren't many people over there. I said, well, can I get I talked to some of the guys who were shooting over there, and they said, well, not many people come over here because obviously they're like from the forces, so they already have all their firearm fun at other places. And those who have guns, like pistols and everything, they just keep them for safety reasons. So I went back to Peterborough. On my way back to Peterborough, I stopped at a farmer's market by the roadside, and this car was still following me. So I would pull over to the side of the road and go and buy some things like some corn and some honey and maple syrup from the farmer's market. And I got back into my car, started driving again, and I didn't see the car. All of a sudden, I saw that car behind me again. It wasn't in front of me. Remember, I spent at least 10 or 15 minutes at the farmer's market. This car crossed me. And then when I got back into my car and started driving, this car was behind me again. So I gave a right turn signal, and this car got in front of me as if they were not following me. But I was able to capture it on my dashboard camera. I posted it on Facebook. I said that maybe it was CSIS. It wasn't CSIS. The next day I got into my brother's Ford Expedition and drove to the gun store in Peterborough, Ontario. And I saw this guy as he was driving. He had held his camera and he was just taking my photo as I was driving. I drove to the gun store. Didn't buy anything. I was looking for, I think, some other things, some kind of a receptacle or container to store my guns because I wanted to lock them in a safe. But at that time, I did not have a safe. I was looking for one. I had like a wooden box, but that wasn't apparently enough. So I wanted to get a safe, but I couldn't get a good safe. Anyway, as I was coming back, I saw that same car, that Nissan Altima 3.5 liter, following me at a distance. And right at the turn of Kamatha Heights Boulevard, I gave a right turn signal and I saw that car going forward, like going straight instead of turning right. So I gave a right turn signal, that car crossed me and I got behind that car and started driving. And that car really sped up, like I was going like 150 on a country road. And it was raining. I had no idea what was going on. I just wanted to ask this guy, what's the problem? I wanted to make sure that it wasn't somebody just following me around for no reason. As I got to a red light, this car broke all the rules, swiveled through stationary traffic, and made a left, illegal left, and stormed. As the light turned green, I turned left behind that car, and I saw them making a U-turn and just storming in the opposite direction again. At that time, I was pretty sure that there were people following me. At that time, I called Peterborough police and I said, well, what is going on? Is it one of your own people? What's going on? The lady over the phone said, well, if it was one of our people, we would certainly not tell you. But I can tell you that it wasn't somebody from Peterborough police. Bald-faced lie. And the way that you can tell some people are lying, they will always try to follow that thing up with a very lousy explanation. And that's exactly what happened. And another silver car that was constantly going around our house. My niece told me that I found this guy looking at me and staring at us and taking photos of our house in a silver car. And Peterborough police said, well, there's been a breaking and entering with some kind of a lousy explanation of this car, such and such car, and that is why thank you for calling us and bringing it to our attention, things like that. And this happened like in August, mid-August, around like mid to late August. I had purchased another gun. It was a Scorpion, a Caesar Scorpion. It was some of the last batch of production for that gun. And somebody told me to get that gun so that the prices might go up in the future. Maybe I could get like a good deal in the future, so I should hold on to that gun. I had purchased that gun. Anyway, I told my mother in the afternoon that I wanted to just go away. I had like $7,000 left in my account. The rest were all spent on my guns. I told my mom, I said, I want to go to Pakistan and chill for like 4 or 5 months, maybe come back then. And maybe I'll see what I could do. There were a few things that happened in between. We're going to discuss those things later. But I told her that was around like 2 or 2:30 p.m. And I told my mom that I was going to get some things printed. It was for my SAP courses, and I have to go and get some gun oil and also had to look for a cheap enough gun case, like gun safe, so I could store all my guns over there. I was living in the basement with my parents. My brother's family was upstairs. I got outside. I got into my car. I was going to Staples. As I was approaching the intersection of Cavata Heights Boulevard, at the red light, I stopped at the red light. I saw this police SUV right on my tail. They did not have any lights or nothing like that on. But as soon as I made a left turn, they turned their lights on. So I pulled over to the right and I stopped my car immediately. Had my hands like this on my steering wheel. And the police officer got out, came to my window, and he said that, turn it off, turn your car off. I said, well, the car is off. He said, get out. I got out. And as I got out, the officer said, we have to place you under arrest for transporting firearms without authorization. They arrested me and took me to the Peterborough police station. No one in my family has ever been arrested, had ever been arrested. We were not that kind of people. We are not that kind of people. So it was a lot of shock for me, for my family as well. And then until the next video, take care.